Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sapient HR's Leadership Lens Beyond Titles, Episode 20. We have Mr. S.N. Ramesh Kumar with us, who is a seasoned HR leader, uh, Director Human Resources at Chimera Technologies. He's currently based out of Bangalore. Before we go into his introduction and the topic for today's, we'll have a quick word about Sapient HR and Leadership Lens. So, Sapient HR is a HR consulting firm which is into the entire life cycle management of employees. So, if you have any role or if you're looking at any talent acquisition, talent management, talent engagement, you name it, and we have a solution for that. So, that's about Sapient HR. And in Leadership Lens Beyond Titles, it's a flagship event of Sapient HR, which is into getting global leaders across on a platform where they talk heart to heart about their conversations, their journey, and their transformations, which help them across at what stages they are now. And it's more about them giving insights about how to solve better problems and how to be a better HR leader, or how to be a better business acumen, or with a great sense of responsibilities and future engagement. So once again, a warm welcome to Mr. Ramesh. And before we have him on with questions and stages, let's have a small video to have his introduction over here. Over
Absolutely.
your journey across different organizations, you would have built about like best practices for AI driven practices across. So how do you identify the organization, how like how the way they find out, or how do they develop talent for this AI with AI's impact across the business transformation?
Okay. So when it comes to AI's impact, right? First of all, the biggest challenge of even now, I think one of the recent leadership roundtable conference that we had, this topic was debated much. The question about us, I think one of my buddy HR was talking about it. One of the leading bank is represented, but still they do not want AI to be part of their job. So I was surprised and shocked to see that, oh, come on, that's such a larger bank or an organization, but they do not want. Because what I feel is this is all because of the uncertainty. Employees or anybody that matters are very anxious about AI, is about where they fear uh, the uncertainty makes them fear about it, right? Whomever employees hear about AI, right? Many, what I would say is they may say that my jobs may disappear. So I instead of saying that we should bring a culture that AI is coming, then how AI can make your job better, being a co-worker. I think that's how we call everything, rather than saying we have something called co-pilot and we have something called all this co-work, all, because there is nothing you alone. There is something that you have somebody next to you, so that work together. So that is something. Fear comes only when you have the curiosity, and I think it's not a motivational speech. I think that's the fact that people should really believe.
I think Ramesh, you rightly pointed on the way saying let's not have the fear of unknown, or let's not have the fear of how AI is going to impact, but let's look at how we can co-pilot or coexist and collaborate. I think a lot of C's being brought across, but
Right.
it's wonderful to look at how both the coexistence between human and AI and the transformation can happen. Absolutely great insights on that. So I think you also touched base a few pointers on like the anxiety and everything which comes across with the impact of AI. So from that perspective, the anxiety and the collaborations which you had discussed. So from a leadership perspective and from the business perspective across, how do you feel the future ready HR leader or a leader should look for today, which will help him across for his transformation for the future?
Okay. So when we say future ready, again, as I said, I'm not a great fan of future ready because there is no future ready. Every day is future for all of us. What it looks like is more about it, someone who creates more leaders. That's all people look forward, right? Nobody wants to be followers. It's not like more followers. It's about that who could really inspire, influence people. Earlier, leaders had all the answers, but today's, if you look at it, leaders ask better question than answers. I think that's how the way of leadership has changed. It does not require that you should be knowing everything. Then only people seal it or label it as a leader. That's really a old school model to look at. So the more questions that you ask, the curiosity that builds, right? So the best leaders, that what I believe is, they don't control. I think if someone believes that I control having 10-15 members under me, I'm the great leader, I think definitely not. So the best leaders, the way is that they should enable things, right? Future ready leaders are something that they spend less time giving instructions and more time removing obstacles. I think that's how that you make the first statement I said, you should make more leaders, right? The moment when you make more leaders, you automatically become a great leader.
I think from C you had brought E now. Enable, empower, and embrace. So that's a lovely way to look at the transformation. And I think I'll bring in one perspective. Like we in Hindi, there's a statement which says like "Mard ko dard nahi hota." So it translates like a man doesn't feel the pain or something. That's old school thought. Now looking at your perspective, I think you rightly pitched in saying earlier we were with the ego, or we were with the mentality saying like we know everything. Now it's about the knowledge co-creation and the level of knowledge being accessible to everyone across. It's
Right.
ready-made available. Like when we did our MBA or our schooling across, or our post graduations for that matter, for our research and everything, we need to go to a library and do our research and get those things. Now at the fraction of a second, or like a click of a button, we get a lot of things across to us. So that's the
Absolutely.
power of knowledge being
Knowledge.
embedded to us at a free flow. And I
Right.
think that also brings in skill latency and the intake of knowledge which we can digest. So I think you rightly pointed out from that perspective, saying we might not know everything, so it's perfectly fine. And it's always good. I think from the academic point of view, you also brought in the perspective of making leaders and empowering them with like asking the right questions.
Right.
I think we come from a generation where it was always about being submissive to the leader, or being submissive to our parents across for whatever they say. And
Right.
now I think the generation has come which is being very vocal about what their demands and what their perspective. So what's your thought on that?
With the generation that we look. So every generation that, I always say that people come and complain about, hey, this generation is difficult to handle and so on. I think this is the same complaint that people would have said for us to our fathers. Right? Hey, come on, yeah. Your kid is very difficult to handle because that's a generational change, right? So what I would say, the change to look forward is this: the generation that we live in, we call Alpha or Gen Z, whatever that you call. We talk about it in the HR terminology. If you look at it, when I ask, I'll tell a realistic example. When I ask, okay, I would want you to come down for an interview, people say that please don't interrogate. Just ask me what do you want and I'll be able to. So people take it that way. The kids, the buddies are taking it that way. It's we should not. I think we should stop interviewing it like 2005 because we are no more in 2005. We are in 2026. And close to another century. Also, Gen Z kids or the generation now expects the speed, right? And the way and HR has always have a funny quote to say that we'll call you later, right? So that is something that very very old that people don't like it. So the speed is something that I do an interview right now, do it. So that transparency, that feedback, and that the technology. So what we should do as a HR or the manager or the leaders is we should show them the culture and don't just tell them do this, rather than tell them, hey, this is how that we work and tell me how do you make this bright, right? So the interview should feel like more of a conversation. It should not be like an interrogation. So the more conversations that you have, I think you will get more of candid responses than the formal way of looking at.
I think from C, E, you brought in A now. Ask, acknowledge, allow, achieve, and agile. That's a lot of alphabets in that perspective. So that's very wonderful to look at. And I think employee branding will be one of your strengths across and your forte. So what attracts future talent today beyond salary?
Okay. The very first thing always I put it in the bucket list is about the growth, right? Everybody, including you and me, anybody will look out for a change is that what is my next growth? I think there is no end for the growth as long as then you see in the organization there are a lot to achieve. So the growth is the point number one, and then I would call the purpose. Definitely, people don't just, of course, money matters. I don't deny the fact. The purpose of joining the organization, what else that I learned joining the organization, how would I do it? Okay, in my previous company I was doing the same thing for last 3 years. Will I be able to grow my career in 6 to 1 year? That will I make the entire 3 years plus in 1 year? And more precisely to call the flexibility and recognition. That is something that especially COVID has gifted us, and at the same time that's also a challenge for many industries till now. So it's both boon and bane, right? So and more importantly, I would say young professionals ask, right, what will I become here, right? It's like it's not just what will I earn here. People ask that what will I, even very recent conversation that I had, okay, the first question that person asked, Ramesh, next 6 months if I join your company, where will I be? What would I be? It's not just 1 year. Next 6 months, where will I be? So that the speed and the expectation that is something that as an organization, that the best employer, that what I feel is, it's not like you show it in the LinkedIn page. The best brand is about your people. Your employees will say what brand that you bring in, right? So that I strongly believe. See our buddies. Let people write whatever it is in the comments. Let people write, because that's an independent perspective. But when you look at the whole as an organization, there are a lot of successful stories that you can listen from the word of mouth, right? From the heart's mouth. It's none other than your employee, right? So that gives you an excellent testimonial than anything else, any certification than that.
I think you now brought in the letter P over here. Presence, present, people, process, purpose, planet, and policies. So everything comes across with the branding perspective, and like rightly said, the generations have different needs. So I'll pitch in that to the basic hierarchy of needs, the Maslow's theory. The needs have evolved over a period of time, and
Right.
if we set that right across for different generations, I think we can then be great HR leaders, because the needs have changed. So from that perspective, how do you redesign, as an organization perspective, how do you redesign the recruitment strategies to attract the different generations?
So recruitment strategies to attract, the very first thing, as I said, right, if we look at hiring as a perspective, the first thing that I would push it is in the next 3 to 6 months, right? How do you see whatever that you have earned in the last number of years? I want you to see yourself. If I very precisely to say I'm hiring a lot of AI engineers, I don't want somebody to come back and say I also use AI. Rather, I would ask people to come back and say, I have built something in AI which I have not done the previously, or I have built something new which has shaped the entire organization the way it works. So it doesn't matter what experience that you come from, you have an open platform in the organization so that you don't have to wait for years to touch the top role in the organization. If you're capable enough, I think any experience that you come, you will see that where you belong and then what is the next growth. I think that scope and that flexibility, that openness, transparency is something that I always put it, which people love and join us.
That's a fresh perspectives. So audiences, if you're looking at any opportunity at Ramesh organization, if you're AI, he doesn't want somebody who is AI built. He wants somebody who can build AI from scratch, or I can put it like he wants people who can make the organization AI enabled rather than AI native.
Absolutely. That's true. See,
And I
one
think,
other
yeah.
example, recently we were talking in one of our, we do monthly session called Vriddhi, which means Vriddhi is what? Growth. Right. So, similar in one of the conversations that we were talking, that what I could try to tell our people is, okay, today when customer comes to take the solutions, because they have problems, we have solutions. The solutions are all in your minds, right? So they also would have, but we have the so many brains actively working. So before even customer thinks, I want this kind of solutions, if you could go back proactively, say, hey, come on, this is something that I've already built, wait, I'll show you. That is something that which makes anybody feel wow, right? So you have that stage. So that's how we pitch.
I think you brought in, rather than being reactive, we need to be proactive to look at solutioning and solving the client
Ownership.
problems before
Yes.
they know. And I think
Right.
you also brought in the perspective of ownership and going beyond your labels.
Right.
Okay, I think you also been part of the academia in hand holding and mentoring a lot of students. So, from that perspective, what do you think is the current gap between academia and industry?
Absolutely a question to ask. And then where we been, all of us together, both of us had multiple forums and we've been talking about it. The biggest challenge, what I strongly believe till today, is knowledge is not the problem. It is the application of the knowledge, right? Because everybody, any student who definitely they know the concept, but what industry expects is you know the concept, but you should also know how do you execute that, that mindset, right? The application thought process is required, because many graduates have never worked in teams. Many people would have never worked in teams, but nowadays there are a lot of different ways companies, campuses come up, give them an exposure to work with people and so on. But when you put people, present them into the customers, right? The first thing that comes into thing is we should also make people to make them ready on the change management, how to handle this ambiguity, because we all live in a lot of ambiguity. There is no right answer for anything, but you should squeeze your mind and think through and come up how to handle the ambiguity. If you're waiting for ready to build like AI, one button answer, that you would not get it. So you should think through and then go back with solutions. That's how it works, which is something which I feel missing plate. And also, I don't think so any industry or any company needs a looking for a perfect student. It is all somebody they are looking. Any company is looking for somebody who should adopt the professionalism and who should understand what is the business problem. At least even if you don't know what the answer is, just go and Google and talk to multiple people and come up, okay, this is the solution that I can think for. That curiosity should be there, is what I feel. That's the gap. It's more than knowledge, it's about the application.
I think looking at your perspective, I think now we had come into a stage where I think national education policy has brought in compliance with regard to ownership and internship requirements across mandate. So I think
Right.
that I think to some extent from your perspective I can understand that internships will give an opportunity for people to know the industry, understand the business case, and look at, do I fit into that industry? Like coming into an organization where you don't know the culture or you don't know the perspective or something, let's look at a connect before we actually join an organization and understand, do we really fit in? And I think you also rightly pointed across a concept which I say like KSA. You rightly pointed, K is about the knowledge which is already being available with the students across, because academia works round the clock to ensure they are made knowledgeable. But I think with that knowledge, it's the onus on those individuals to ensure they transfer that knowledge into a actual skill or an employable skill. And I think we don't hire for knowledge or skill, we hire for their attitude. So I think you rightly brought in the perspective of their ownership, the curiosity, and to go beyond their levels to understand what they can do and give back to the organization and fresh perspectives. And I think you also brought in the thought of let's look at out of the box setups and ambiguity. I think rightly pointed out, like we are now in a VUCA world where there is always an ambiguity and there's always a disruption.
Right.
Rightly putting it across over there. And if you get an opportunity, or I think you would have had a lot of opportunities, but still, when at this juncture, if you get an opportunity to spend 30 minutes or 1 hour with a group of final year students, college students, what career lessons do you want to teach them across?
First thing I would tell them is, as I said earlier, I think I repeat, so don't really look out what kind of job you wanted to, because that won't definitely define their career. I always ask students to think about the attitude, what they showcase in the place. And second thing is, don't expect somebody will come and help you. Don't expect somebody will guide you. Don't expect somebody will get you a job. No, because we are in a world that everything what you want, you have in mobile, right? So I even was talking about it to one of the campus that I was interacting a few months ago, right? Now it is very out-fashioned. I think recently in Chennai, I think it's also published in news where campus has come to the stage in the IT corridor, and then they set up their own way of setting up bridging the gap. So where companies no need to go to the colleges, where college is setting up their campus inside the IT corridor, and then where they say, hey, I have my people, you go and work with any company where you have. That's a wonderful way of looking at. What I was talking about is, do not encourage or do not tell people that, okay, I bring companies, no. People have scope, people have options to interact with anybody. LinkedIn is open for everybody. If you want an opportunity, find the right company, right technology, go and ping them. Hey, I have the skill and I would want to talk to you. Then you build network, you bring them to your company. Then let people come to you and showcase your skills. That's how it is. And the last one, I would always say that any fresher, don't go to, this is my framework, I love this, and I have hundreds, thousands of people, I would call maybe at least 1,000, I would say, message that they have got benefited out of it, which I call this framework in a way that When you go for an interview, rather than saying I am a fresher, you should bring to a perspective stating that I am fresher, but I have an experience. To put it, may not be an employment, but that experience comes with through your internship or your own thought process, putting your ideas into projects. All those things, put it in your document, resume, clearly define it, success or failures, then present it during the interview. Yes, I am an experience with an experience. I'm a fresher, but with an experience in hand. That's a different perspective where you push that experience comes from your knowledge, not from the employment.
I think you rightly shifted the statement. Like, let's for freshers who are listening to us, maybe at this juncture or later when the video is being uploaded in YouTube. Freshers, you are not freshers. You come with some experience, or I'll say you come with an expertise from your knowledge which you have interacted with the global heads or various HR leaders, or where all you had in industrial exposure. Please do quantify what all learnings you had from them, because those are knowledges which will take you to places and will give you an opportunity to get you a break at your first organization.
Absolutely true.
Okay, so now the question is a little bit of an offbeat, because we both come with a lot of experience. So, do you value the years of experience, or you still feel there is always continuous learning has to happen?
So, continuous learning, of course, yes, that is a beat always in any era that you go, because the moment when you stop learning continuously, your heartbeat stops, which is equivalent to it, because experience without learning becomes routine, right? There is nothing that you feel wow about it if you don't learn anything, right? So someone with, for me, take me as an example, with around 15 to 20 years of experience, if I don't learn something new, right, then I would be doing what I was doing for the last 20 years. So I can't really cope up with the advance, the systems that is there, right? Now, many things have actually changed. Now I should really look at my last 15 to 20 years of journey, that I should make it 15 times better to learn something new. Then only I'll be able to meet. So this continuous learning is always a big beat. Learning, I believe, that converts your experience into the wisdom, right? If you don't learn, then you will stop.
I think you also subtly put it across, like the change management principle: learn, unlearn, and keep relearning across to go to the next phase of your journey. So that's very wonderfully put across. So, viewers, if you are listening to Mr. Ramesh, do follow him across and listen to his bites. And okay, so now we looked at organizations, individuals, and then at the academia perspective. Now look at some of the organization perspective. So, organizations are now evolving, and at the scale which we have not also dreamt about. So when we look at earlier generations, every industry would have had a brick and mortar kind of a setup. Now it's about digital transformation. So talking about those transformation, and we also have people who resist those changes across. So when we look at placing a HR over there for that cultural embrace, how do you think this continuous learning which we are talking about now, how an HR can build that culture in an organization?
Absolutely a question that all of us should ask ourselves, because what we do, it that happens, leave about the organization, even at our own family. When you go back, and the first thing that you ask a kid is that, what did you learn in the school, and how did you learn? Did you complete your homework? So the more you force learning, right, it don't look like learning. So I believe the continuous learning, the culture of learning starts. It should not be forced. The learning should be, adopted in a way that reward the learning. We should celebrate the learning. We should promote the learning. Very recently, one of the conversations that I had with my daughter, since I'm in Bangalore, my daughter is at Chennai, I was asking how much you scored. She was saying in real time, and she was giving that 20 out of 19, say 18, blah, blah, blah. In one of the subjects, she got around 18. I just very casually asked her, man, why is that 18? So far, you never gone below 19. And why is it 18? She said, Appa, you're looking at only 18. Why are you not looking at the 19th and 20 that I got? Then I felt, yeah, come on. I really felt ashamed. But of course, yes, that's a learning. So I thought, yes, I shouldn't ask that. That's an immediate question. So why are you look at it, what I have? So then I realized that I should reward that whatever the efforts I put in rather than what is not. So the culture is not something that I believe it is not building through posters and the content. It is all about, it is something that how do you make the managers, right? I think they are the true HR transformers, right? How do you make the managers responsible for developing the people? At the end of the day, they are the one with whom you will be working, and they will be working with the end note, right? It is something through building the leaders or consistently rewarding them and celebrating them, promoting them, that automatically builds the culture of learning than forcing.
I think I looked at the same perspective because I also have a son, and when I go to him and ask where did the score went off, then he's like, it's okay. I'll take it up next time. So I think our kids are brought in with an exposure saying it's okay to get less marks, but also look at what efforts we are doing. And I think you rightly pointed out saying, see, output will come and go, but let's look at what kind of outcome we are driving and what are the efforts behind those driving actually matters. And I think you also put about the butterfly story. From a cocoon to butterfly, it's a transformation. So we should not place anything in that. Then the journey becomes very easy and it spoils the next phase for the butterfly. So untapped market is across. Great.
Right.
Okay, now you are at a stage where you would transform into a CHRO. So if you become, it's a hypothetical question over here. So if you become a CHRO with more than 10,000 employees across, so what initiatives would you take for that organization or for that industry to be, I think you said you don't want it to be future ready, that terminology you don't like, but how it can be embracing the future as a workforce?
Okay. As a workforce, yeah, I would love to be for 10,000 organization. I think I'm sure our organization will move to that path soon that we are, right? So first thing that I always look at it, and I've been practicing at various levels. One is as an industry that has shifted from hiring experience to skill, right? So first thing that I would do is I would create a company-wide skill framework that hire and promote based on the skills, not based on the tenure, because that's out-fashioned. That doesn't matter you're a 1-year guy or 10-year guy or whatever it is. If your skill matters, I think if you're able to solve larger problems, why not you become an architect in 1 year? Right? You don't have to wait for 15 years to become an architect, right? So that's one thing that I would really love, and I think I've been doing it. The second one I would say is AI, that we cannot really work or think without AI in our work life anymore. So I would always love to have some personalized AI learning journeys, because every employee should know exactly what skills to build next and so on. So that personalized AI way of working should tell us, hey, today, this is something that where you plan to learn. Did you learn it? Or you learned it this way, this is not the way. If you learn this, probably you could do this job better. So that personalized way of coaching is something that I would build, is what I believe. And third one is about very, very important as a business perspective is the building the internal talent, right? That mobility is very important, because sometimes what happens, the biggest challenge in the market is when you look for when you are planning to hire, you always go outside in the market and hunt for people, but we don't know the next hire you might be having inside your company. We did not see, or we would have not recognized, we would have not seen. I really want to have a platform that which tells us transparently your next hire or your next technology movement that you're looking out. Already someone in your company is already doing it. Look at it, so that where inside the company, how do I make sure that I have a great hire? So that building the internal talent mobility is one of the interests of mine, which will optimize the cost and which will build the career, which will help everybody to work smooth.
I think you rightly placed like what should be done to have that transformation. So I think congratulations to that thought process of looking at how do we evolve and go across to the next phase. And I think you also pitched across skill-based economy and then micro learning. I think now the attention span for every individual to cope up with the learning is very less and very limited. So I think micro learning, which you put across, is very rightful way of looking at, because now everyone is on their phones on the go.
Yeah.
So I think the micro learning is the new learning terminology. And I think you also subtly touched upon coaching, and I think you touched a lot of points on coaching, but subtly put across is about mentoring, and then also looking at a perspective of reverse mentoring across, because you will have a lot of generations across. And you also talked about ensuring the people in the organization are recognized. So looking at internal mobility, either horizontal or a vertical growth pattern across. So I think that you had rightly put across, every organization when they are looking at transformation need to ensure they have a proper job architecture.
Right.
I think AI come or go, or any other technology come and go. I think you rightly pointed, let's look at the foundational things in the organization which needs to be set out. Then only we can look at embracing the change and going for transformation. Okay, with that, let's push back 10 years ahead. So imagine being in 2035 and you look back around, and what all decisions you had taken and successfully did, the talent management, talent engagement, talent development across. What do you want to leave a message now to the younger generation or younger employees watching this episode now, so that they have a great journey when they are in 2035?
Okay, so it is a futuristic question for the future ready thought, right? So now we don't know what comes tomorrow. That's where you said sometime back, VUCA world. Even during this conversations, for every response of mine that you're connecting a dot and coming up with A to Z. So that's how everybody is competing with other, right? So now organizations, what I will believe, organization or people, whoever it is, in terms of futuristic way of looking at it, is the market now, what it seems to be, looks like, or assumed, or the mask people think about it, the companies who invest on biggest AI investment is something that they succeed, is what majority of the people, wherever I go, people call, hey, what is the AI product that your company is doing? How much AI has been transformed? How much your company is investing? Oh, come on, wait. Why should company invest so much on AI? That's not something that which might help, right? It is something that the reality would be, because as we spoke some time back, you can automate everything, but certain aspect that you should continue, that is about the people. So how much that you are investing on people is something that is going to be equally than more than AI is worth looking at, right? Because technology, you can purchase it anytime or anywhere at any cost, but skills can be taught, right? Mindsets, if you look at it, it takes years to build. Right? So that mindset, and you should invest in your people rather than, of course, AI should also be there, but the investment is not about the investment that you put on AI, it is on the people that you took. That is how that I imagine 2035. Who knows? It is even a funniest question to ask. If you have somebody sitting next, people may ask that, are you a human on AI? Because we don't know with whom we are talking. Even now, we don't know, because all humanized AI that we are living with, right? So if I had to tell one message to people about it, or for HR professionals is, don't just fill the positions is the first thing, because we all fill the positions, but we need to build the careers. Filling anybody does, even if you give it to AI, it fetches the resume and it schedules interview. But how do you build your career? That's something that where we will have to, because companies will build the future of employees or not, but every young professional watching this conversations, I believe that don't chase the job on job security. Build your skill securely. Don't look at the job security. Look at your building your skill on security, because jobs will change, but the skills, companies will also change, industries will also change. But if you become someone who learns faster than the change itself, right, you will never be irrelevant to the industry. So I will leave with something what I truly believe is something that your degrees or whatever it may be can give you an opportunity at the first, but your mindset and your approach, your thought process will determine where you last one. That's how I think I strongly believe in my that's my perspective.
Okay, that's a fresh perspective to look at embracing change and the people mindset. And I think you rightly pointed out saying, is there a business need to look at, do we want to invest on AI? Because there might be organization which need not make an investment in AI at this juncture, because their business doesn't have a requirement for that. So don't jump into the bandwagon of should everyone is doing an AI investment, so let's also look at AI investment. That's a right perspective to look at connecting investment to the business need. And you also brought in every technology across will have an evolution, but the technology success factor will depend on the people embracing that technology. So I think you rightly put across the skill enrichment that needs to be done across. And I think in Three Idiots or in the Tamil movie Nanban, it talks about don't go around running around success. Empower yourself with the skills so that you transform and you become successful. Rightly put across. And I think you also brought in the perspective. I take it like impossible. You brought in, you split it across as I am possible. So that is the journey. What you're also putting it across. It's only the mindset that we need to look. And okay, so Ramesh, from the discussions across, every podcast becomes very subtle with the discussions and everything. So keeping it on a rapid fire mode, let's look at a few rapid fire questions for you and for the people to know your perspectives across. So it can be one word or one sentence depending on how you want to take it across. So I'll be very quick. One skill everyone should learn in this year.
In this year, trust.
Right?
Trust. You should trust what you do. You should trust what you have. If you don't trust, you cannot learn anything.
Okay, so you also pitched in about the self-awareness and wonderful. AI tool you use most?
AI tool, I use my brain.
Okay, human intelligence, understood.
Yes. So you are using it a fancy way, I'm saying it in subtle way.
What to do? We are HRs. Okay, so one HR trend that is overrated.
Overrated dashboards.
Okay, one HR trend that is underrated.
Underrated policy.
Okay, degree or skills?
Skills.
Remote, hybrid or office?
Hybrid.
Okay, one book every HR professionals should read.
Your career diary.
Okay, one mentor who shaped your career.
Absolutely. I believe for me it is my manager wherever I go, because based on the way that you work with your manager, You may learn good things. You may also learn how not to work. You may also learn how to influence.
Okay. Hire for attitude or experience?
Absolutely, attitude.
Okay. Complete this sentence. The future belongs to people who fill in the blanks.
Future belongs to people
Who?
um, who believe themselves.
Okay, that's wonderfully put across. I'll not bother you more with more rapid fire questions. So I had a wonderful discussion with Ramesh on your fresh perspectives. So you made me go from C, E, P, and across a lot of platter of alphabets across. So for people who are going to watch this episode in the future in the YouTube channel, what message do you have for them?
So I have one message always for people is um, just be the way that you are and always try to learn. It's a common word everybody use, but over the journey or over the workforce or over other priorities, one thing that we leave is our learning, because the moment when you feel that is not important today, that will never be important. So you make it one of your checklists of learning something, a better way of working, at least from today to next week to following month, is something that I wish. And do not fear yourself. AI, of course, without AI, you may not be able to survive over the future. I'm not just saying this just for the sake, because if you start implementing whatever it is just for the namesake of using some tools, right, it is also that how do you make your job better. Using tools is something that which will shape your career better, and which you can invest that time with something better that we are all looking for. So always trust yourself, always spread something that what you can give it to your people, because you're gonna hardly work for 8 to 9 hours at our office and that don't carry all those your home. You have a beautiful family at home, right? You spend your time there and then you spend your time here. So balanced work life is all a beautiful journey that we look for.
So before we go into the conclusion, I'll have few pointers what I learned across from the conversation with Mr. Ramesh. So I'll take it A, B, C, D across that way itself.
You already connected. I was curiously listening. How are you connecting the dot A to Z?
No, I have the habit of like being an engineer. It always gives me a perspective to look at. Let's connect the dots.
Yeah.
So, that's how I'm hardwired. So can't help it. Okay, so from the conversation with our friend Ramesh over here, we learned about the A's, which we learned is be agile, achieve, ask, acknowledge, and allow. And when we look at B, he looked at balancing life and balancing self. At C, we looked at coexistence, collaborations, and control, and also create. And when we looked at D, he looked at not to downplay yourself but to be a proactive person. So with P, he looked at proactive, people, process, purpose, policies, present, be present. And with F, he looked at flexibility and agile. And there are a lot of things we discussed about, but he also put in the perspective not to react but to be proactive, and also look at giving a quantitative responses to your profile. Your degrees will take you to an interview place, but your skills and your attitude will take you to the next level in your career. And your career is the decision which you need to take. Be self-aware, be self-present, look at work-life integration, have a personality, and it has to have your personal self, and you also need to have your professional self. So team, whoever is watching over here, do connect with Mr. Ramesh, or do connect with Sapient HR, and look into your future perspectives. Do listen to the podcast. And one stringer over here is whatever Mr. Ramesh said or whatever Indran said across, these are all our personal opinions which we are projecting over here. so that don't tag us across over other platforms. So these are our personal experiences, what might have went right for us over a period of our journeys across. But when you look at your journeys, take the correct steps and always look at asking, because when you ask, we want you to ask the right questions. And even Ramesh and I would agree to the saying, there is not a right question. It's always about perspectives across. So don't fear to ask questions. Please ask questions, and please empower others to also ask questions and embrace them with knowledge. The knowledge you share and knowledge you gain is always about sharing and caring. So be a knowledge hub for transformation, and AI would be there. So don't fear AI. From that shift, look at embracing it, but you still also sense, because you can only take decisions across. So do embrace that. And what all discussions we had, please take it with a pinch of salt, because it might work for you, it might not work for you. It's always a perspectives, and take decisions and make those decisions right across in your journey. So this is Indvin Joel signing off from your episode 20, Future Ready Talent. Thank you, Ramesh, and thank you, Sapient HR, for this platform to bring in leaders beyond titles. And have a great day and a great evening.
Thank you so much, and when wishing you all great evening ahead.